Welcome back to another episode of the Miracle Marketing Podcast, where we bring you interviews from business owners, celebrity guests, and hot topics. I am your host, Brandon Adams, along with my co-host, super producer, Big Perion. Big Perion, how are you today?
Man, I am great. It's a beautiful day. It's cloudy, but it's still a beautiful day.
All right.
How about yourself?
It's beautiful, nice and sunshine here. It has started cooling off, but it's warming back up. But today we're gonna keep it hot because we got a very special guest that we're gonna get into shortly. How was the weekend out there?
Man, after the storm, it's been pretty, pretty quiet. You know what I'm saying? But prayers go out to all of those that are suffering from the aftermath.
Okay. All your family in Florida, okay?
Yeah, everybody's good.
All right, good. Love to hear that. All right, everybody. So make sure you hit the subscribe button. And if you would like to be a guest on the show, send us an email to a miracle podcast at gmail.com. On today's show, we have a very special guest. She is an actress and also a TikTok superstar. So without further ado, we're going to welcome to the show Miss Lolita Milena. How are you this morning?
I am so good. Thank you so much for asking, and thank you for having me.
Oh, no problem. So, Lolita, tell us all and all our guests, how did you get started acting?
I've been acting slash dancing since I was 5 years old. I
Okay,
was offered a dance role in the Nutcracker as a little girl.
okay, all right. So, tell us about some of the, roles you had, some of the biggest roles you've done, or, what you got coming up. Let's get into all of that.
Most of my acting was through theater. I was very much a theater kid. I did plays from 5 to I think 21.
Okay,
I my last production, but my largest role ever was Jenna in Lionsgate's One Up on Amazon in 2022. It premiered.
okay. Can you tell us a little bit about your character in that?
She's an influencer, so it was a very difficult role for me to try and figure out. And she is I would say, the sarcastic girly girl of the gamer group that comes together in the comedy film.
Okay. Carry on.
You have a superpower. For those out there who have the same superpower you have, how difficult was it to get into acting being disabled?
It was a journey, to be honest. My agent found me through TikTok. He liked my comedy sketches, he liked just my content in general. And I realized how far and few between auditions were for someone like me. But it was a double-edged sword because every role I got, or even up to today, have always been great parts. They are usually very big story-wise. So while I get fewer, they are great for payoff.
Yeah, I think it's very dope um, and beautiful that you you have some great roles, and from watching your videos, watching the One Up movie, it seemed like you don't let anything stop you from being great. For those that are out there, I know I want to get into acting, a little bit of acting or whatever, but there are a lot of people out there who view their life situations in a negative light, and they don't think that they could do the things that you're doing. Um, what do you say to those people?
I I was very fortunate growing up in a home with sisters that all had different disabilities, and we all grew up as sisters first, and every individual disability was the last thing on our minds. So I try to teach people that come into my life, or at least explain to them that it can be the very last thing people remember about you. And I've lived that little mantra ever since I was able to remember thoughts. So for a very long time. And while I know it doesn't come natural to everyone, I hope it can be at least.
As though you have a great personality, especially on on screen and in person. how do you get ready for your character? I know a lot of people spend a lot of time um, getting into character, weeks and or months. Um, was it something that came easy for you to be the character that you played in One Up?
This one was easy. It was just 10 times more sassy than what I am. So it was, she was an influencer. The last time I played a video game really was a PlayStation 2 when I was a kid. So that was the research I had to do, was looking up computer-based games instead of games on the PlayStation. So I had to educate myself more on the gaming aspect rather than the character aspect, even though that was a part of her character.
Do you play more games now?
I got a PS4, but mainly just exploring the worlds type games. I just enjoy seeing what video game creators can make on their maps, and that's what intrigues me to gaming.
Okay. Now you are an author too, am I correct?
Yes.
Can you tell us some of the books that you've written?
Uh, the most well-known one is a science fiction horror novel called 2459. And while I love that one, I wish Duplex 683, which is just more straight up whodunit horror, I wish that one got a little bit more love. It's my personal favorite. I have written and published now 4 novels and working on 5 and 6 currently.
Wow, that's dope. That's dope. B.
So, you've done some comedic writing. Are you just naturally funny? How does the comedy come with you?
I don't think I'm funny. I'm always surprised when people find my sense of humor humorous.
Mhm.
It's darker just because with the family that I had, we were always making dark jokes back and forth, but it was always based around what our individual selves were going through. We never really poked a lot of dark humor towards one another in a very hurtful way. So I think my humor, people can enjoy it knowing it's just me that I'm poking fun at. So it's intriguing that people find me funny.
So, do you like doing more comedy writing, or do you do a little bit of everything?
I do a little bit of everything. I Comedy is not my strong suit, but it's one that people seem to enjoy, and I think it's the easiest to put out day to day. But I love horror, I love drama, I love darker psychology. I love writing those 3 genres the most.
Okay. All right. So, do you do any singing at all?
I sound really good when I'm all alone in my car. Sound great.
Okay. All right. So tell us a little bit. I know when I was talking to your publicist, she said that you had a story that you would like to share. Is there something that you want to share with us at all, or no?
I don't know what she told you.
Okay. All right. We'll leave it at that. No
Yeah,
problem.
I wish I knew. I wish she told me.
Okay. Okay. No problem. No problem. So let's talk about, TikTok. How did you get discovered? How did everything just kind of blossom from TikTok?
It was a dare from one of my little sisters. It was back when TikTok was Musically. It was right in that little transitional period. And she made a dare that I wouldn't be able to keep the account going for longer than a week.
Mhm.
So I was just posting, I think really it was dancing content primarily because I was a dancer first and people really liked it. And then I started blowing up because large content creators at the time enjoyed some of the comedy sketches to nostalgic movies that we all grew up with. And from there, I branched out and said, I don't want to stick to just one thing. I just want to do everything that I love to do. And if I'm not good at it, I'll let it go and move on to something else. So it grew from dancing content to lip syncing to nostalgic films. Then it went to cosplays. It went to the dark humor sketches, which really helped me take off, was making wheelchair jokes.
Okay. So when we have our guests on the show, we always tend to ask them who would they like to work with, and also if they can play any particular role, what would it be?
I would love to work with Meryl Streep one day. She essentially helped make my childhood with movies that I watched growing up. I also just like her a lot as a person. So I would say her. And a dream role would be something in comic books. My sister, who's deaf, she and I bonded over all comic books from DC to Marvel. It really didn't matter to us. So I think being a superhero and being seen as strong physically would be a great achievement on a resume.
And Marvel's huge, and I'm a big Marvel. I like Marvel movies and characters. I like DC as well, but I'm real big on the Marvel. So
Mhm.
that would be great to see you, playing in some of the new Marvel movies.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, yeah. Perion.
What would be your superpower?
I would say having the full brain capacity to access every other superpower. So
Wow,
be smart enough to know how to achieve every single one.
that's dope. That's dope. Now you have a large family, eight
Yes.
sisters,
And a
one brother.
hmm
Are any of your other sisters on TikTok or
they
your brother?
they just have their own private accounts for friends and family. I was the only one that really took it seriously and managed to make a little job out of it. Theirs are just more for fun.
Okay. Do they ever get do they ever get in any of your videos?
Yes, and they will send them to me. Usually, if it's jokes that we made as children, they would send it to me and go, "Oh, I remember this," and they repost it and whatnot. So when they do come across me every now and then, they enjoy the content that I put out usually.
No. Now, do they have they ever gotten into any of your
Oh,
videos with you?
years ago, I had my little sister in a video or three, and then I had one of my older sisters who is deaf. We did some content just basing jokes off of our very different disabilities. But the rest of them, they like their private lives.
Now, in your bio it said that you were adopted.
Yes.
I have me and my wife, we adopted six siblings. So growing, I know with my oldest daughter, she had a hard time at first adjusting to everybody. Um, what was that like going into a new family with that many siblings?
So for me, it was more so what my father kept meticulous journals on my journey being a foster kid to an adopted kid, the medical procedures, all the fun stuff. And while I don't remember it, he said that I acclimated pretty well, pretty quick. My biggest fear was a fear of men after what I had gone through, and that was part of my child PTSD. So that was the main hurdle to get over was allowing my father to be in my proximity and my brother to be in my proximity. But supposedly I got over that pretty fast. But with a family, a big family, I they said I acclimated really well, and I didn't really have any problems with that. So
Yeah, that's beautiful. Our family is so close knit. Um, it's basically it feels as though we birthed them ourselves. We love each other so much.
mhm.
Now, as far as the acting and the writing books, have you thought about putting together a script?
Yes, I just submitted some projects to different fellowships in Los Angeles. So hopefully we hear back something soon. Uh,
Yes.
Screenplay writing was a big hurdle that I first tackled in 2021. That didn't pan out. It had to be revised with a new team, essentially. So that was my first ever attempt at screenplay writing, which is very different from books. But I find that I really like it. I find that it's a lot of fun. So I've knocked out a couple of scripts and hopefully one gets picked up.
Have you turned any of your books into scripts?
Yes, I have. And I'm halfway through 683 converted into a screenplay. But the others are a little tricky to do so. One is an anthology of stories, so many of them could be turned into full-length films. It's just picking which ones would be best for mainstream audiences and indie audiences and trying to balance the two.
Is there any significance behind the numbers that you put in your books?
2459 was my orphanage number in Siberia when I was in orphanage there. So that is why that one is significant to me. And 683 was a play on a real duplex system near my childhood home where I got the inspiration for that story anyway. So all the numbers, they have little meanings ranging from sentimental, ranging from just silly, and ties into the reality of the story.
That's dope. That's dope. Do you work with other actors as far as like on their TikTok content?
I do. Since I had recently moved to Los Angeles, almost all my friends are out there. So it was really nice to catch up with them and make content from dancing to comedy skits. I got to hook back up with writer friends of mine who helped me figure out how to market myself, which is something I'm not the strongest at doing. So it's a great new adventure for me. I'm so excited to see where it takes me by the end of this year going into next year.
That's beautiful. B?
How is it transitioning from growing up outside of the States to the States?
I was born in Siberia and I have no memory of my time. It was only the first like few years of my life. So I have no memory of it. So essentially I did grow up in the Midwest. I'm very much a countryside child, grown woman. And so going to a big city for the first time in my life is a big change and a lot of learning to be done, just cultures and social aspects of it all. So it is brand new for me, but it's exciting, if not a little daunting.
Okay.
Do you
How long have you been in LA? That's my hometown.
Oh, I just moved out there towards the end of June. So I'm very new.
Very new. Okay. Well, welcome to the Cali LA life.
Thank you.
Yes, most definitely. So you also reading through your bio, you have some cosmetics and clothing.
I help promote different companies, yes.
Okay.
Clothing and cosmetics.
Okay. Can you go into a little bit about that?
I started in the cosmetic industry with cosplay companies. They really enjoyed my cosplay and they noticed I didn't have any eye contacts to match certain anime characters I was trying to achieve. And they reached out and I work now with the Third Eye company. I work with Narrative Cosmetics. They are really big in the special effects community, which is another aspect of my life I love doing as a hobby. So they are all great companies to work with. I got to do a small collaboration with Abercrombie and Fitch back in 2019, which I still have the little cologne bottle they gave me as a gift. I have it set out in my living room to kind of show it off because my picture is on it with the Abercrombie logo and it smells amazing.
Nice. Nice. So do you want to do anything more with, because I know you were talking about doing Marvel and DC, and then also with the special effects and anime and cosplay is really good. And I mean, I'm really big right now. Do you plan on doing anything with that or through Comic-Con, any of those things?
I have friends that actually get to attend Comic Cons from projects they've been in. And I feel like that would just be otherworldly and a really, really cool thing to say that this is my job. I get to go to these amazing conventions and have the coolest weekends. So I love hearing the little stories when they come back and tell me all about it. I would love to do that. I would love to get more into special effects makeup since I was 14. And while it is a hobby right now, it is a passion hobby. I think it's one of my more passion-based projects. I would love to even just see where I can go with that or how far I can go with that. So both would just be a lot of fun.
Very young.
Do you have in the near future any plans to do a comic book?
A comic book? No, my drawing style, I base it more in realism, not so much comic and cartoon. But if anyone would like an English dub, I would love to audition to do voice acting for animes or comics. That'd be a lot of fun.
You do different voices?
I'm trying. That's another thing that I'm starting to learn. Right now I'm just trying to tackle different accents right now.
Okay. What are some of the accents?
Well, my father was from Tennessee, so when I was a little girl, I did Southern drawl. I've slowly gotten rid of it, but I still can do it. You know, the British, the white European accents I've been tackling. It's a lot of fun, and I'm currently trying to master the New York, just the
Yo,
broad.
yo, son. Yeah, they got they got a lot of different dialect up in New York. It's a big melting pot, kind of
Oh,
like
yeah.
Atlanta too. Um,
She need
do
a
you
She need a Boston accent.
plan on creating your own what was that? Your own cosmetics?
I would love to start out collaborating with existing brands because I'm currently just trying to learn the marketing and networking side of the industry. So I think if I were to tackle cosmetic brands or special effects cosmetic brands, I would love to collaborate with existing ones to kind of learn the ropes and see how involved those two companies are, given they are very different from one another. But I would love to try it.
How do you cope with your fan base? Do you any out in LA? I know you just moved out to LA. Have you ran into any fans that recognize you from your videos?
I have run into a few and they've been great. They've been so sweet. I ran into them at a convention that my friend hosts and they were all very sweet.
That's up. That's up.
Nice.
What do you have coming up next? The near
Right,
future. What do you
right,
have?
right now I am working on a project. It's a feel good film. I recently gotten the call that I was to participate in it. While it's a small part, I am very excited because it's based around deaf people and it's based on a true story. And when I may or may not have told my sister who is deaf, and she was really excited. So I'm excited to tackle something outside of comedy because a lot of the roles I auditioned for after One Up happened to be comedy, and this one's more of a feel good drama.
Yeah, you when you get small roles, you have to approach them like big roles because you never know. Somebody may see you doing it, and they say, she was perfect at that. We need to put her in
Mhm.
a feature where she has a larger speaking role. So that's dope. I'm glad that you have these opportunities, and I pray for more very, very soon because you are great at what you do. As far as hmm, as far as being a actress and writing your own scripts and being a TikTok celebrity, have you thought about creating your own film company?
I have a friend who is already working to make her own production company, and I've I've kind of nudged her a little bit and said I would love to learn the ropes once it is solidified and finalized because I have a couple friends that are starting their own production companies and oh, I can't afford it right now, but I would love to see the day where I can have a production company and give opportunities to people like me, people like my siblings who love the fine art as well, and weren't given opportunities for whatever reason. I think that would be a great, not change, but a great addition to the industry that we have today.
Yes, that's dope. And you should do voiceovers.
Mhm.
I've auditioned, but it was back when I was still living in the Midwest, and they wanted those local to be able to go to the studio to record it. So I didn't get those parts, but I'd like to.
Yeah, for commercials and everything. Like you could do your own commercials on TikTok for different brands. Somebody's going to see it.
I have done that. I have done commercialized content for different brands, which was a lot of fun to figure out just the behind the scenes of emails and what they wanted and how they wanted it. And it was cool to have a good skeletal outline while still getting to be creative with it.
Yes, that's dope. That's dope. B?
Well, you on the podcast with a producer, so hopefully he can put some of those music scores in your film project.
Yes.
Lolita, before we get out of here, I just want you to tell everyone where they can find you, where they can follow you, give all that good stuff.
Sure. I'm on Instagram. I am on YouTube. I'm on TikTok. And every single bio on those three sites do have my link tree so people don't get confused. I am Lolita Milena on all the platforms with no spaces because turns out Lolita is a banned word on some platforms. I did not know that until my fans had come forward and told me, hey, we can't search you unless it's just Lolita Milena as one word. So I am just Lolita Milena on all platforms.
Okay.
Wow.
All right. Well, thank you for taking the time out your day to be with us and share. You're welcome back anytime to talk about your upcoming projects. We would love to have you back on the show.
And thank you so much for having me. I had a great time.
All right. Well, thank you. Have a great day.
Bye.